Hello everyone, and thank you for coming back to my channel, or if this is your first time coming, welcome and thank you. So we thought it would be funny to put together some of our funny moments or yucky stories. I don't know that we received any yucky stories, such as, kids taking the iPad in the bathroom, which seems to be a common problem when you're teaching English online or teaching any subject online because they're kids and it's not really a big deal to them. But we put together a little mashup of some of the things that we find funny about VIPKid or teaching students online, or one of mine is from my kindergarten class back in Germany. So we hope you enjoy, have a little laugh, and have some fun.
Hello, it's Teacher Cindy here, and everybody loves to make the teacher look funny. This can be done with the Stars to Apples app. I've done this with my students, and they just love to see the teacher all dressed up and funny looking. And I love the Stars to Apples app, and yeah, this will get a few laughs.
Hello, my name is Cindy Bennett, and I am glad to share with you today something funny from my VIPKid classes.
Hello, Amanda Panda Teacher. I'm here in my teaching classroom and hopping on to tell you some funny stories about my class and teaching. I think the funniest stories come from level 1 classes.
Hey everyone, I'm teacher Kasie from ESL with a Gypsy Soul and also from KasieTeaches.weebly.com.
Hey guys, it's heyteacherraf@gmail.com. Click subscribe and see more tidbits like this. I want to talk about some of the funny things my students have said or did.
Let me tell you about some of my funny stories from level 1 classes. When I began with VIPKid many years ago, I was a level 1 only teacher. I got an email that said, how about you go for level 1 for 100 classes? That is a lot of classes. It took me 3 months to teach through all of those courses before I stopped teaching level 1 classes. So I taught a lot of level 1. There are many crazy things that happen in level 1, but here are some of the funny ones. I earned a regular because of something funny that I did with a prop in class. I knew that this was the moment that solidified this student to be my regular. And actually to this day, she still is my second longest regular that I've taught. In my course with Sunny, I was teaching the unit on Egypt, and we were teaching the word hump. Now, let me tell you, I can circle the hump on the screen. I can explain the hump to the student. I can draw a picture the mom can translate in Chinese. But until I did this, it really wasn't something the student understood. I've got a giant pout fish. Heads up for Kasie. I've got one. This pout fish makes an amazing prop to teach hump. I took this and I put it behind my shirt. Let's see if I can do it. And I turned and I went hump, and my mom's face went bing, and my student went ha 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 ha, and I knew that I would be rebooked for that class again. That was so hilarious and fun.
Something you may not know, with VIPKid, the students can pick their own names. And, sometimes they're kind of funny because they might be 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 years old, and they come up with their own English names. So I made a list of some that other teachers have found funny. I kind of looked at some of the polls online, and then there's some that from my classroom. So let's take a look at what I have. Sneeze, Half-Blood Prince, Ugly Orange, Spicy Boy, Stupid, Gas, Donut, Rocket, Handsome, Laughing, Rainbow, Green, I think there's every color of the rainbow. I think there's a student named green, there's a student named blue, there's a student named purple. Pillow, hamburger, ding dong. And from my classes, there's sniper, doo-doo, 7, 3, and ghost. I could probably go on and on, but these are just some of the names that kind of make me smile. You know, it's cute when you think of that age group and where are they coming up with these English names? You know, are they just picking a word that they've seen or a word that they know? Or, you know, I have probably about 5 to 10 cherries. Their name is Cherry. And a bunch of Sunny. I have a Stephen and a Carol and a Helen. So, you know, some of the more common English names. But yeah, they get to pick their own, and I enjoy listening to them. So I hope you did too.
So Kasie asked, what can you share something funny? We want to do something a little lighthearted for our friends. So I was thinking one of the things that I've been doing in the classes recently is the songs. Do some of you have some kind of little bit different songs that you have to sing with the students? And sometimes I'm not exactly sure of the correct tune. So I have one for you right now, and it is Bats. Sleeping Bats. I think it goes like this. Bats are sleeping, upside down, upside down. Oh, Meg! Sleeping in the morning sun, waiting for the night to come, then they'll fly around, then they'll fly around. That is a really funny song. Okay, so some of the songs are just a little strange, but they are kids. And sometimes I'm surprised at how well the kids can sing. If they hear a tune, they seem to respond well to a song. And even though they're funny, the kids seem to really like the songs. Kittens, puppies, foals and chicks, foals and chicks, foals and chicks. Kitten, pup. Oh, I think they start as babies, then get big. Which is your favorite? So sometimes I'll get going on a song and I'll think, I don't know if that's the right tune or not. I hope the other teacher, didn't have the right tune. But they seem to follow along. Most of my students seem to have really good singing voices, and they're able to pick up the tune really well. So that was a cat was once a kitten, a dog was once a puppy, a horse was once a little foal, a chicken was an egg. Sometimes I just make up a tune. Sometimes I can surprise myself with a tune. So that's another funny song.
Kasie, you are a naughty teacher. Naughty Kasie. And I was like, I'm naughty? I have no idea where she heard it. Mom.
One of my students, he's about 14, and he told me that he hasn't left the house in over a month because of this current situation. But he had a very positive and kind of giddy personality about it. And he just pretty much told me he wasn't scared because as long as he doesn't leave the house, he's fine. And so we had this lesson on insects and critters, critters who burrow and critters who live in a hole in a tree and things like that. And then there was a spider. And so we have vocabulary words, and then we use the vocabulary words in sentences so he could practice the vocabulary word in a complete sentence. So I asked him about crack, like crack in the wall. And he takes his iPad, he says, oh yeah, spiders, cracks in the wall. Look at this. He flips it straight up, points to the ceiling, and at the top of the ceiling there's this huge crack, and he's like, yeah, there's a spider that lives in the crack in the wall. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how coincidental, we're having this discussion, and boom, he's showing me. So that happened.
Okay, a couple of things that might happen in the classroom that could be funny or not, depending on how you look at it, or depending on the student. I'm already kind of laughing because my little friend found this hilarious. Well, his mother found it more funny than he did. So we're doing level 1 and we're talking, we're dancing. And in level 1, there's quite a bit of movement. Well, it was jump. So we're jumping. I'm jumping out of my chair. All of a sudden, my student jumps and whoop, he falls right down, the poor baby. Luckily, he didn't get hurt or anything. I mean, he cried a little bit. He's only he's 5 years old. And so I think he was more embarrassed than anything. But then, mom took care of him. She did a great job. He did a great job. We finished the lesson. The next class comes a couple days later, and it's a review. It's jump. So I'm like, jump. And I'm like, wait. Mom, is he okay? And mom's like, I catch him. So mom was prepared to catch him in case he fell, but he did a great job jumping, and we still find it hilarious today. I still teach him. He still loves me, even though I made him jump.
And then my other regular, I taught this student about 40 times, but I've taught him over a year. He doesn't come very often, but when he comes, sometimes he won't even be on screen. And there was a time in the beginning where he had this full head of hair, and he would be on screen and he would be doing the lesson, but he can read fluently. He just takes his sweet time to read through it because he wants to like go as slow as possible. And he's funny though. He uses like his voice in different ways. And so, because I've taught him so often, there was a time when I didn't see him on screen at all. I mean, he was doing the lesson, he was reading, he was answering questions, but he didn't even pop on screen at once. He was always off screen. And most of the time, I didn't even see the wall behind him. All I saw was the ceiling because he would flip the iPad up or put it on the ground, whatever. And then you just see this like light, like a whatever, like a light fixture or whatever. And I wondered, why hadn't I seen him for like 15 lessons? And then he pops back on, and I started cracking up because like 15 lessons later, right? Because he had this buzz cut, and he was probably embarrassed because he had this full head of hair, and then all of a sudden he's buzzed, and he feels probably shy about it. I totally understand, but it was just one of these funny moments. And he's a funny kid. Like sometimes you ask him a question. I mean, it's pertinent to the lesson. You ask him whatever about vocabulary words that are pertinent to that particular lesson, and the student's supposed to take the vocabulary word and answer in a complete sentence. They're just practicing. But instead, he won't answer the question because he doesn't want to reveal too much about himself. It's so funny. So he'll say maybe yes, maybe no. Yeah. And he'll just start saying stuff like that. It is funny. I don't know. It cracks me up. Usually I don't laugh about stuff like that, but this guy, he cracks me up.
Mouse. And so sometimes when we talk about the mouse, I'll say click a mouse. And then I will say, sometimes it'll go, you'll see the mouse at the beginning, and then you'll see the mouse in the middle, and I'll grab something like this, pull out another type of prop that they're not expecting that can get them to kind of perk up a little bit. So I do have some funny stories. Like just yesterday, I was teaching one of my students. She's a regular. She's so sweet. And I just had this thought, to ask her to sing me a song. At the beginning of class, it will say, you have 1 minute to talk about anything that you would like.
And so I asked my student, whom I've taught ever since the beginning. I've been with VIPKid for 2 years, and I taught her all along. Actually, she was a student at the beginning that she was so slow with reading that I sent in a ticket like 2 times for her to be put back in a level, but they never did. And I didn't see her for a little while, and then I got her back, and she actually is doing really, really well now. They never did put her back, but she seemed to catch on. So here I am teaching my little sweet girl, and I'm going along, and all of a sudden, I saw behind her, these bare legs go up in the back. And I'm like, oh, do you have company? Sometimes the kids will have a little friend or something, somebody who comes over. Not as much recently in the last 6 months or so, but before that, a lot of times they have a friend there and do their lesson anyway. And I said, do you have a friend? And she's like, what? And I said, oh, I think I saw someone behind you. And she says, oh, that's my grandma. And I was like, that was really weird. That was really weird. But it's really hot there in China, so they kind of go down to the bare necessities because it is so hot, and they don't always have, I don't know if any of my students have air conditioning, but they all have fans. So that was really funny. And sometimes since it's hot, you might see them, just wear like a light t-shirt or something, and that is pretty normal. So if you have a really young student, you might have them in the middle of class, they might just run out and run to the bathroom. So this one student ran out to the bathroom and somehow they made a gesture that I knew that the kid had to leave to use the bathroom, or maybe it was just my mother's intuition, I don't know. But the little kid ran out. The little kid came back, and yeah, he didn't have anything on. So, and it was kind of, so I felt like it was important for me to send in a ticket so that they could delete the video. And so I sent in a ticket. I was really new to VIPKid, so I wasn't sure exactly, what to say, but I tried to be as open as I could. It didn't really surprise me. Like, I had seen that this could happen, and I wasn't, like, shocked or upset or anything like that, but I just thought maybe the tape should be deleted or something. And I got a really nice letter from VIPKid, and they were all apologetic and everything. They said they would delete the tape and everything. And then I had the next class, the student, it was his turn, and I was figuring it was all set, So I turned on the camera, and wouldn't you know, I had Dad sitting in a chair, and I had the kid sitting right in front of him. And the kid was sitting there, and I had to do the whole lesson with looking at the kid, but with the dad's face right behind. So I figured he was there for the kid to make sure the kid behaved and everything, but it was a little intimidating to see the dad, and he didn't really make much expression at all. And it was a really young kid, so it was kind of hard to be animated and everything with the dad just sitting there so stoically. But we got through it.
Okay, on to another level 1 story. My student was a level 1 student, and he would often come to class and be in a very funny location in his house. I don't think I've ever taught another course like this. His mom decided that it would be amazing to send my 4-year-old student to class on an exercise ball. So he sat in class, his little iPad was on a desk or a table, and throughout the whole entire class, this is what I saw. It was terrible and so hilarious and funny.
So one more funny thing that happened to me was one time I was doing the unit where you're going to throw the paper. So you take some paper and you scrunch it up, which I will find a piece of paper here. You take I would just take a piece of paper from a book that I have right here, and I would scrunch it up. And this was a really little kid, and it was all about the row. So it was the row. So I would throw the piece of paper at the computer, and we were having the greatest time. Well, this kid, he got it back from the computer, he threw, and then when he went to pick it up, he whacked his head really hard on the table in front of him. And I was like, oh no. And I could hear, it was either his mother or grandmother in the background on the telephone. And this little kid, he kept going, and I could see there was a little cut on the side of his head, and it started to bleed a little bit. And, here I am. What am I supposed to do? This is before we had the button where you could call for help if you had an accident. And the little kid just kept going, and then he got the attention of his mother. I think it was his mother. I think he went, Ma! And then she looked at it, and it was right on the side here, like this, and she took this huge Band-Aid and just stuck it right there like this, almost over his eye. And that little kid just kept right on going. It was so funny. And then I did teach him a couple times after that, and then I could see that it was healing up and everything. But we laughed about it, and I did write in the notes, I'm sorry that happened and everything, but it did look like he was fine. And, sometimes you don't know. That could be a kid who's, like, accident prone, like some of my kids are pretty accident prone.
Have you ever been sitting in a class and all of a sudden you're like, great job, AC! And your phone is like, hello, or whatever Siri says. This poor student, every time I say her name in the classroom, my phone decides it's going to pick up. Her name is AC, and Siri thinks I'm talking to her. This has happened multiple times, and I just kind of find it funny and thought maybe you would too.
Then I have this 6-year-old, and she's a new regular of mine for this year. She just turned 6 last month, and she's hilarious. She'll have imaginary conversations with her pets during the lesson in her language. So she's just like, and going off. And then the pet answers back too. Oh yeah, the pet answers back. And I'm sitting there reading this for her and then waiting for her to reply or mimic me, and she's having a full-on discussion with her pet about who knows what, because I don't speak the language. Hilarious. With her rabbit, Star Rabbit, that's the name of the rabbit. I got that far. And behind her, she has these shelves full of trophies, and I was just amazed how many trophies there were. And one time I asked about the trophies because I thought, it must be for ice skating. I don't know, right? I'm just guessing. And she's like, shh, don't ask about the trophies. Like it's a thing. I don't know. She's just messing around because she's got this like very mischievous, playful personality where she pretends to throw a tantrum when she's not really throwing a tantrum. It's hilarious because her mom will reprimand her about something in the middle of a lesson sometimes, and then she'll just like walk away. And it's funny. You have to watch it. It's so funny. And so her mom moved her desk or whatever iPad to the other side of the room next to this wall, but it wasn't a wall. I thought it was like the room just kept going, but it was a mirror. So behind her, all those shelves, I thought it was doubled, so I thought it was really long, but it was halved. So, but still, it's a lot of trophies, tons of trophies. So it was kind of funny, it's this optical illusion. Sometimes you'll have funny things like that.
Okay, there's my level 1 stories. Let me tell you one more story before I sign off. This is my story of my actual most difficult, crazy student I ever taught. One of my hardest courses ever. I taught a student who took classes in many different places. She often took class in her bed, and she would be eating food and chips, bottles of water all over her bed, many different places. The iPad would be on the bed and I'd see her feet stomping on the camera. Then the iPad would be up with up on the ceiling. Then other courses I took with her, I'd actually be in a factory with no headphone, and in the background I see thousands of people working on machines that are going boom, 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 boom. And all through 25 minutes, it was, let me teach you English, to bonk, bonk, bonk. I thought the bed classes and I thought the factory classes were the worst it would ever get with this particular student. Oh no, she had more. The worst class was the day she took the class in the middle of her living room on a spinning chair. She held the iPad and she spun the iPad around and around and around. That was the only class in my 3,500 classes that I actually called the firemen for student behavior, and she would not stop. Let me tell you, I get motion sickness. I cannot watch movies on 3D screens. I can't do those rides at Disneyland where it's like soaring over places and it's like a 3D. Forget it. I can't do it. And so I thought I was going to throw up because the iPad literally was spinning. Spin, 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 spin for 25 minutes. So I took my Post-it note, I covered her camera, and I taught on. Those are my funny stories and crazy stories from teaching with VIPKid. I bet you have many too.
Dino was being a bad boy, and the student, he made sure that he made mention of that.
Much better than him jumping the other day. I had to send in a ticket because I said, jump! And he jumped. And those of us that know sometimes it's really hot in China, well, they had a shirt on him, but they had no pants or underwear on him. So, yeah, I had to send in a ticket like, sorry. So when something like that happens, we just send a ticket in so that the LP, the learning partner, will know. But, and the mom was just like mortified, like, oh. So, lesson learned, be careful with those jumping. Be careful with those jumps. Be careful with jumping in level 1. You just never know.
And then I had this student. Well, he's a regular of mine, but he just comes once in a while. And he's like about 13, and he's really he's a fun kid in the sense that he likes to talk about fun things, but he's not really like enthusiastic or passionate. He's kind of like meek, but nice, and you could tell he's always thinking about funny things, and he wants to tell you and explain something. So we had this lesson, and I asked him, "Do you play music?" And he said, "Yes, I play music." So I asked him which instrument. He said, "The drums." So I asked him, "Which genre of music do you play? Do you play rock? Do you play jazz? Do you play blues?" He said, "I play metal." And I thought, wow, that's funny. So I asked him, which bands do you cover songs for, or which songs do you play? And he said, "Oh, I like to play songs from Metallica." And I said, wow. And then the next slide, I kid you not, was about butterflies. So he says to me, "Oh yeah, I like butterflies because they're pretty." hilarious. Just a minute ago, he's telling me about playing Metallica, and now he's talking about pretty butterflies. So you'll have funny things like that happen, and you'll have kids that have such dynamic and charming personalities, and they joke and they're funny. And
So those are my funny stories, and I've taught over 3,000 lessons now, and I have taught over 2 years. I have over 1,000 5 Apple reviews, and I am waiting for my TESOL certificate. And in all of those lessons, I have had some really good times. And I just want to show you at the end of my video, I'm going to put a little snippet of a class that I did with a very big egg. I found this huge egg at Michael's after Easter, and it was really inexpensive, and I used it to hatch, well, I'm not going to tell you. You can just watch the rest of the video.
Something funny that happened in my English class, well, we were talking about stories and things all week long, nursery rhymes and fairy tales and what's the difference and things. So I was actually not a teacher yet. I was a paraprofessional, the aide in the classroom. And the student came up to me and he was so excited to tell me about a story that he had read called Little Red Hiding Wood. It still makes me laugh. Yes, so he did mean Little Red Riding Hood, but I have to be careful to this day. This is, let's see, I've been teaching 9 years, 10. So this was, oh man, probably 13 years ago. And every time I see that story and every time I hear about that bug, I think of him, and I'm scared to say it out loud that I might say it the wrong way. So be careful you don't call Little Red Riding Hood Little Red Hiding Wood.
And not all of my classes are full of belly laughs, but they are a lot of fun. I just love teaching the classes. So in my classes also, I like to use the Stars to Apples app, which is a really fun app to use, and I can put it on my screen. And this is a reward that I used today, and this has lots of fun summer photos of cats. So these got some really good smiles from the kids. And they are a lot of fun. And I love sunny days. So it's got sunny days and stars, and they're a lot of fun. So thank you for watching, and thank you for participating in this video, and give it a thumbs up for Kasie, and check out my channel. I'd really love to see you there, and happy teaching.
What is it? Oh, what is it? It's yellow. Oh, it's yellow. It's it's Dino. He came out of the egg.
Those are just some of my funny stories. I hope you enjoyed them.
So I hope you enjoyed some of these tidbits. Click subscribe to see more, or just email me at heyteacherraf@gmail.com. Have a great day. Take care.
I wish you happy teaching and lots of happy moments. Hopefully not crazy spinning chair moments. Talk soon.
So who am I? I have youtube.com, Cindy Bennett 13, and my channel has a lot of help for VIPKid teachers and some family stuff. And I also run a group for VIPKid teachers who use the iPad. So if you can check that out on Facebook, VIPKid iPad users, and we talk about how to use iPad as a backup. Some people like to use the iPad as a teaching device for all of their classes. So there are many things that you can do with the iPad. I'm going to use it today for a little bit of visuals for this video.